Volume 1, Chapter 4a of The Last Man. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Lizzie Driver. The Last Man by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Volume 1, Chapter 4a. Is there such a feeling as love at first sight? And if there be, in what does its nature differ from love founded in long observation and slow growth? Perhaps its effects are not so permanent, but they are, while they last, as violent and intense. We walk the pathless mazes of society, vacant of joy, till we hold this clue, leading us through that labyrinth to paradise. Our nature, dim, like to an unlighted torch, sleeps in formless blank till the fire attain it. This life of life, this light to moon, and glory to the sun. What does it matter, whether the fire be struck from flint and steel, nourished with care into a flame, slowly communicated to the dark wick, or whether swiftly the radiant power of light and warmth passes from a kindred power, and shines at once the beacon and the hope? In the deepest fountain of my heart the pulses were stirred. Around, above, beneath, the clinging memory as a cloak enwrapped me. In no one moment of coming time did I feel as I had done in time gone by. The spirit of Idris hovered in the air I breathed. Her eyes were ever and for ever bent on mine. Her remembered smile blinded my faint gaze, and caused me to walk as one, not in eclipse, not in darkness and vacancy, but in a new and brilliant light, too novel, too dazzling for my human senses. On every leaf, on every small division of the universe, as on the hyacinth it is engraved, was imprinted the talisman of my existence. She lives! She is! I had not time yet to analyse my feeling, to take myself to task, and leash in the tamest passion. All was one idea, one feeling, one knowledge. It was my life. But the die was cast. Raymond would marry Idris. The marriage bells rung in my ears. I heard the nation's gratulation which followed the union. The ambitious noble uprose with swift eagle flight, from the lowly ground to regal supremacy, and to the love of Idris. Yet not so. She did not love him. She had called me her friend, she had smiled on me, to me she had entrusted her heart's dearest hope, the welfare of Adrian. This reflection thawed my congealing blood, and again the tide of life and love flowed impetuously onward, again to ebb as my busy thoughts changed. The debate had ended at 3 in the morning. My soul was in tumults. I traversed the streets with eager rapidity. Truly I was mad that night. Love, which I have named a giant from its birth, wrestled with despair. My heart, the field of combat, was wounded by the iron heel of the one, watered by the gush of tears of the other. Day, hateful to me, dawned. I retreated to my lodgings. I threw myself on a couch. I slept. Was it sleep? For thought was still alive. Love and despair struggled still, and I writhed with unendurable pain. I awoke half stupefied. I felt a heavy oppression on me, but knew not whereof. I entered, as it were, the council chamber of my brain, and questioned the various ministers of thought therein assembled. Too soon I remembered all. Too soon my limbs quivered beneath the tormenting power. Soon, too soon, I knew myself a slave. Suddenly unannounced, Lord Raymond entered my apartment. He came in gaily, singing the Tyrolese song of liberty, noticed me with a gracious nod, and threw himself on a sofa opposite the copy of a bust of the Apollo Belvedere. After one or two trivial remarks, to which I sullenly replied, he suddenly cried, looking at the bust, "I am called like that, Victor. Not a bad idea. The head will serve for my new coinage, and be an omen to all dutiful subjects of my future success." He said this in his most gay yet benevolent manner, and smiled, not disdainfully, but in playful mockery of himself. Then his countenance suddenly darkened, and in that shrill tone peculiar to himself, he cried, "I fought a good battle last night. Higher conquest the plains of Greece never saw me achieve. Now I am the first man in the state, burthen of every ballad, and object of old women's mumbled devotions. What are your meditations? You, who fancy that you can read the human soul, as your native lake reads each crevice and folding of its surrounding hills. Say what you think of me, king expectant, angel or devil, which?" This ironical tone was discord to my bursting, over-boiling heart. I was nettled by his insolence, and replied with bitterness, "There is a spirit, neither angel or devil, damned to limbo merely." I saw his cheeks become pale, and his lips whiten and quiver. His anger served but to enkindle mine, and I answered with a determined look his eyes which glared on me. Suddenly they were withdrawn, cast down. A tear, I thought, wetted the dark lashes. I was softened, and with involuntary emotion added, "Not that you are such, my dear lord." I paused, even awed by the agitation he evinced. "Yes," he said at length, rising and biting his lip, as he strove to curb his passion, "such am I. You do not know me, Verney, neither you nor our audience of last night, nor does universal England know aught of me. I stand here, it would seem, an elected king, this hand about to grasp a sceptre, these brows feel in each nerve the coming diadem. I appear to have strength, power, victory, standing as a dome supporting column stands, and I am a reed. I have ambition, and that attains its aim. My nightly dreams are realized, my waking hopes fulfilled. A kingdom awaits my acceptance, my enemies are overthrown. But here," he struck his heart with violence, "here is the rebel, here the stumbling block, this overruling heart which I may drain of its living blood, but, while one fluttering pulsation remains, I am its slave." He spoke with a broken voice, then bowed his head, and hiding his face in his hands, wept. I was still smarting from my own disappointment, yet this scene oppressed me even to terror, nor could I interrupt his access of passion. It subsided at length, and throwing himself on the couch, he remained silent and motionless, except that his changeful features showed a strong internal conflict. At last he rose, and said in his usual tone of voice, "The time grows on us, Verney. I must away. Let me not forget my chiefest errand here. Will you accompany me to Windsor to-morrow? You will not be dishonoured by my society, and as this is probably the last service or disservice you can do me, will you grant my request?" He held out his hand with almost a bashful air. Swiftly I thought, yes, I will witness the last scene of the drama, besides which his mien conquered me, and an affectionate sentiment towards him again filled my heart. I bade him command me. "Ay, that I will," said he gaily. "That's my cue now. Be with me to-morrow morning by 7. Be secret and faithful, and you shall be groom of the stole ere long." So saying, he hastened away, vaulted on his horse, and with a gesture as if he gave me his hand to kiss, bade me another laughing adieu. Left to myself, I strove with painful intensity to divine the motion of his request, and foresee the events of the coming day. The hours passed on unperceived, my head ached with thought, the nerves seemed teeming with overfull fraught. I clasped my burning brow, as if my fevered hand could medicine its pain. I was punctual to the appointed hour on the following day, and found Lord Raymond waiting for me. We got into his carriage and proceeded towards Windsor. I had tutored myself, and was resolved by no outward sign to disclose my internal agitation. "What a mistake Ryland made!" said Raymond.